So I chose this topic because I've been very interested in the Armenian genocide specifically for a few years now, and I've done a lot of just personal research, like reading autobiographies, reading family accounts, and historical documents. And so I was very specifically interested in what happened to the descendants of the people that fled after the genocide and dispersed around the world, so this Armenian Diaspora. So my main arguments in terms of the Armenian Diaspora are that this people have kind of more of a theoretical homeland than a physical homeland, because most of the original kind of Armenian homelands that were considered home to the Armenian people are within Turkey, and only about 20% are in the Republic of Armenia, which was a Soviet satellite country that is now considered kind of like the only Armenia that Armenians can look back on. The dream is still to return to these original lands, which I found very interesting, especially among the younger generation that I was interviewing and my friends. I didn't think it would be as a living dream as it still is, that they all mention that they eventually want to return. It symbolizes a very important part of their heritage, because Armenia is considered the first Christian nation, and so a lot of them look back on those lands as kind of like the birthplace of their culture, their nation, their religion, and it's extremely important for them to go back. And so that was something that kind of surprised me, was I was expecting more of an attitude of like assimilation, of maybe adopting the customs and cultures of the countries they live in, because so many, the majority of Armenians live outside of the Republic of Armenia and live around the world in various and very diverse cultures. But there's this very much attitude of that, the fact that Armenians are Armenians, no matter where they are, no matter where they're born, where they live. If they have that heritage, even if it's like just a parent or a grandparent, they're still Armenian, and then that's what they are, no matter what citizenship they have. And I found that very interesting and a little bit surprising.
So, hey there, I'm Tigran. My full name is Tigran Ferhan. I'm from Armenia.
My name is Robert Malikian. I'm also Armenian. I was raised in the Middle East, and now I study at NYU Shanghai as a freshman.
Well, right now, I guess that all the Armenians considered homeland of Armenian people as Republic of Armenia. However, like I heard stories from my father, from my grandfather, that my grandfather's grandfather came to Republic of Armenia from the areas of nowadays Turkey. That place where my grandfather's grandfather is from is called Erzurum. So basically, we consider Armenia, Republic of Armenia, as our homeland, but we know where our ancestors came from, and where are we from originally.
Depending on which period your parents did leave Armenia, as long there is a sort of a cultural split, kind of the Armenians that left during the Turkish genocide that happened in the early 20th century. So they do not share a lot of the exact same culture and the exact same dialect as there is in the Republic of Armenia nowadays. However, we do still consider them as Armenian, so there's not too much of a difference there. My parents, they left Armenia post the Soviet Union, so they were the dialect we speak and everything in the culture. It's all the same that's there existing now. So I don't really consider myself as part of a diaspora. Most of the Armenians that are now outside, that are like me, do not consider ourselves as diaspora. We are just Armenians living abroad. There isn't really that much of a difference. There's an attitude that is adopted among Armenians that, oh, one day we would love to go back to our homeland, and that even if you are not able to, like, you will always just remember that you are Armenian. You remember your identity.
So like for parents, it's very important for their children to speak Armenian, because like as I said, they don't want their children to forget where are they from. They don't want them like to they want them to always know that they are Armenian. Like they don't want them to like say that because I lived in America, I was born here, I'm American. They said that I'm Armenian.
We've always preserved the thing that makes Armenians Armenian is that they have preserved their own unique identity, whilst living in other cultures.
And one thing like that's very important about Armenia is its religion, also Christianity. So basically, Armenia is considered as the first Christian nation in the world, and about which we are very proud of too. So basically, yeah, we can say like what makes us Armenian is the language, religion, culture, and descendants. I was taught like to learn about English, to learn about like the environment where I'm going to study at, like America, now it's Shanghai, Singapore. So basically my parents just told me to know everything very well, to adapt the culture, because it's something new for me. But what I was always told, besides like learning the language, learning the environment when I'm living at, is that like I have to know my history very well, so that when the time comes, I have to present others my history very well, so they can also understand like where we come from, why are we so proud of being Armenian.
It's in our nature, really, just to adapt, contribute to society the best you can, and at the same time try to further your own. The goal of Armenians is to progress with others, just like work together.
But we want our like values, our historical and cultural values that our ancestors has left for us, like to be in our country, even though we won't get the territories back. I know, like we just want our like values back. And one more thing is that like if people recognize Armenian genocide, you never know. Right now, the Syrian genocide might have not happened. Like you never know. There are people being killed right now, like the Yazidis being killed in the Middle East, and that's because like the world is kind of like closing his eyes on that like threat. If they recognize Armenian genocide, you never know. It might not. If Turkey was punished and like. You never know. Well, I think that's the case with every Armenian. Every Armenian has the ancestor who died there, yeah.
Sure.
Because like 1.5 million Armenians, like if there are like let's say 12 million Armenians, it's impossible to not have a relative who died in the genocide.
Died, tortured, whatever it is.
So basically, yeah, we all have relatives who died. That's why we don't want the world to forget it. But yeah, we want the world to recognize it. That it can somehow like make the pain like a bit less. Like so it's saying try to destroy Armenians, try to vanish Armenia from the world map. Like whatever you try to do to Armenia, whenever the two Armenians come and meet together, they'll make a new Armenian.
Yeah.